H.K. Edgerton on the South, Confederate flag, and the KKK.
Separate Confederate history and Southern history from black folks. But they don't talk about Levi Carnine, Reverend Mac Lee, Hope Collier, John Edgerton. They don't talk about these folks because, I mean, these are black heroes who fought very bravely. Reverend Mac Lee said, the bodyguard to the Honorable General Robert E. Lee, who built more churches in the North and South Land of America than any other minister that I know of. He told his people, after he'd educated himself with the money that General Lee had given him, keep your faith in God, buy you some land, get yourself educated, and beyond all else, put your faith and trust in the white man in the South, no other, because he knew what was in the hearts and minds of Southern people. There's a love that exists in the Southland of America between black folks and white folks. It's hard to explain to folks. It's a whole lot different. The biggest tragedy of all, the whole world wants to associate the Ku Klux Klan or any hate organization with my flag. These folks talked about Nathan Bedford Forrest. Well, if it don't be for Nathan Bedford Forrest and that original Ku Klux Klan, I'm not talking about what happened after Nathan Bedford Forrest, many of us Southerners, red, yellow, black, and white, would be just like the dinosaur around here in the Southland of America, extinct. And people don't understand that. They just say Ku Klux Klan, and all of a sudden they gather these images of my flag and white men standing around beating and hanging and whipping black folks. Wrong, wrong, wrong. What about old man Pooley right around there in Alabama who joined the Ku Klux Klan because his family wanted to vote in the election and wanted to vote in the Democratic Party, and Thaddeus Stevens and his boys come down here and terrorize them in the fields and beat them. And many times he went to the Ku Klux Klan. Thaddeus Stevens and his boys found out how successful that the Klan was at defending Southern folks, red, yellow, black, and white. So what did they do? They started sending their boys down here and dressing up like the Klan and committed terror in the South. And then all of a sudden, you know, Nathan Bedford Forrest understood this thing. He told his men, let's just come home. Let's go home and forget about this thing. Out of all his black men that rode with him, he said, every single one of my black men are as good as any soldier that rides with me. And I'll tell you something. From all the accounts of what you do find, there was not a single man that rode with Nathan Bedford Forrest who looked like me that wouldn't have given his life for Nathan Bedford Forrest. Napoleon Windrush. Here's a man that was captured with 7 horses, and the Yankees took him and exchanged him for 4 or 5 other white men. You know, what person would do that? No way. There were many black men who wouldn't even take the loyalty oath. Trained cadre of black folks on plantations all across the Southland of America, made all the implements of war, stayed at home, provided all the foodstuffs. Many went off to fight in the war gloriously. In the 77 cities that I marched through when I walked to Texas, there was not one town that somebody did not come with a black Confederate hero. I'm not just talking about ordinary folks, I'm talking about heroes. People say slavery and it just ends right there, but you know, it's the biggest trick that ever happened. While slavery, by some white men in the South, and I've heard it, I even heard some very rare recordings that Dr. Southall Freeman did, especially one Confederate soldier who said that slavery was a curse on the white people in the South. While slavery might have been a curse on the white folks in the South, it was a blessing for many of us who wear this color. Now some folks will say, well, Uncle Tom, what you talking about? But let me tell you something. When my great-great-grandmama Hattie Edgerton stood on those shores in 1788 on her way to the Honorable T.R. Edgerton family in Relevant County, North Carolina, I'm so glad she didn't get left behind. Those Africans didn't like us then, they don't like us now. The only people that ever showed any love for us is those same white folks in those cotton fields and cornfields that we live side by side and call ourselves family. And I'm not here defending the institution of slavery, because slavery was bad when Jesus Christ walked the earth. It's part of man's inhumanity to man. Crosses all colors, all religions.